What's up everyone, David here, and today we're here to talk about a game that I never thought I would make this video so soon about. Project Fantasy, the newest IP at Atlus, worked by a new studio, Studio Zero. The game has been in active development since 2017, but just like Shin Megami Tensei 5, the information that we got on the game is there's not a lot of things that we do know about this game. But December 2020, just a month ago, we got news that I reported to you guys with the director of the project at Studio Zero saying that Project Fantasy reached its climax in development, which means that it is up there in development. They're about to just, do the ending and stuff. So there's the final little touches that they have to do. So the project, to the surprise of everyone, is way more advanced than we thought. Absolutely. So that's crazy. I remember a few months back I wasn't sure if Fantasy would come out before Persona 6. So yeah, I'm not on this. I'm pretty sure that we're gonna get Fantasy first now, of course. Now, at this point, the information that we do know on the game is still very limited. So today, I wanted to talk about what I would like to see for Fantasy, and I also wanted to speculate on what I think we could see based on the information that we do have, even though it is very small. Now, at this point, we know that the game is going to be a medieval-themed RPG, nothing more. So I think there's a lot of room to speculate here for sure. I have some very cool ideas for you guys that I think you guys will like to hear. The way that I want to do this video and talk about my ideas for Fantasy is I'll start by giving my ideas for the combat system in the game. And then I want to talk about the story and setting, what I think we could see there. And I have one final surprise at the end that I think you guys would like, talking about the Persona series and also the Shin Megami Tensei series, of course. So let's jump right into it. I want to start with the combat because this is something that, RPG, it can be a lot of things actually. So let's talk about that. The first one, of course, is a classic turn-based combat system. I think this is something that personally I would like. I know that a lot of people are getting kind of tired of this combat system, or if it is a combat system that is turn-based, they want something very unique. Which brings me to what I would like to see if they are to use a turn-based combat system. I want something unique. I want them to add unique elements to the combat system if they were to do it like this. For example, an Octopath Traveler with the break mechanic. So when you hit the weakness of a certain enemy multiple times, you hit their weakness and then they break, which stuns them for a couple of turns if I remember correctly. So that was a mechanic that I had a lot of fun with. This team at Square Enix is doing a great job with reinventing their turn-based RPG because they also worked on Bravely Default, and they also have a mechanic where you can do the same action multiple times with one of your characters, and once again something different, which is very refreshing. Of course, there is your classic combat systems such as Final Fantasy VII, which is still great. I mean, I'm playing through original FF7 on the Nintendo Switch at the moment, and it's great. I mean, it aged very well. But if they want to stand out, which most of the time Atlus games, they do stand out, I'm sure they're going to be able to add some type of unique mechanic like the games that I mentioned previously for sure. Now, could they go full classic turn-based RPG mode? Yeah, because there is some recent games that had a very traditional turn-based combat system and it just worked. One of the games that I have in mind at the moment is, once again, a Square Enix RPG with Dragon Quest XI-S. Dragon Quest has a very classic, traditional turn-based system, and the 11th entry in the series is definitely, once again, traditional all the way. So, I mean, if they are to have this, if they want the traditional style, I hope they go in depth with lots of spells, lots of mechanics that they can add and stuff, so it's not too basic, because if it's too basic, it's not going to work that much, in my opinion. Now, the next combat system that I think they could use is an action RPG, an action-oriented combat system. Now, I'm going to be honest, guys, I'm not the biggest action RPG fan out there. I really do love my traditional turn-based combat systems and stuff, so, but I still want to say there's some very good action-based combat system out there in my RPGs. One really good recent example that I have in mind is the Final Fantasy VII Remake that we got last year. This combat system is an action combat system, but using ATB mechanics while also having strategy elements. And this is the most important thing that I want to focus on. If you go with an action-based combat system, I sure hope that you're gonna at least put an emphasis on strategy. And if FF7 Remake, if you just button mash and you do whatever, like in, for example, Final Fantasy 15, it doesn't work. You have to think and you have to do the right spells at the right moment. You still, for example, you can use Cure, but you have to use it on the right enemy, on the right ally, sorry. So yeah, it's great. Honestly, I was a big fan of the Final Fantasy VII Remake combat system. So if they are to do something similar, I would be fine. Again, we're just speculating here. I know that this is not the type of thing that Atlus does normally, but we have no clue about this game, so it could happen. I want to say I don't necessarily want an action combat system final. Like, I don't want a Platinum Games type of combat system. While it would be great, I'm not the biggest fan of those combat systems necessarily. So anything Nier Automata, Bayonetta, stuff like that, not really my thing. And for a medieval type of RPG, I'm not sure how they would make it work. So nah, I would rather have something like the FF7 Remake, or of course a good old turn-based RPG. Let me know what you guys would like for the combat system. But those were my ideas and speculations for what we could see in Refantasy when it comes to the combat system. I just wanted to quickly talk about the story and setting for the game. So as I mentioned previously, for now we do know that Studio Zero is making a medieval themed RPG, but we also know that they're taking inspirations from certain tabletop games. So I think it's going to have a big emphasis on medieval themes in this one for sure. But obviously that's still very vague, that's very general, it can mean a lot of things. So there is definitely room for speculations here. Personally, for this one, unlike my first point, I want them to go in a totally new direction. Medieval themes, again, it can mean a lot of things. I would like them to go all in. Once again, I referred Bravely Default before for the combat system. I praised the combat system in Bravely Default. Well, I'm not going to praise their story. Like, the Bravely Default story is like your typical 90s RPG story, and it's not something new, it's not something amazing, it's not revolutionary at all. I want something different. I don't want your typical Bravely Default story, your typical FF story from the first few ones, typical Elder Scrolls story and stuff like that. I want something brand new and original with new elements, unique elements, stuff like that. Again, I don't necessarily have a lot of ideas for this one. I just want them to be unique and go all in with their own ideas. I trust the team at Atlus and Studio Zero for sure on this one. Now, the little surprise that I have for you guys is, of course, as an Atlus fan, I had to talk about Megaton and Persona for this one. I want to give you guys two ideas, one for the Persona series. What is one inspiration that Refantasy could take from the Persona series? It can be anything that would be dope for Refantasy, and I will also do the same thing after for Shin Megami Tensei series. So let's start with Persona. I'm gonna be honest, this section though was harder because I'm a big fan of both series and it's hard to choose only one thing for each. But again, we don't know nothing about Refantasy, so just speculations in general. So for Persona, the one thing that I chose is, I'm pretty sure you guys will think it's very minor and I could have chosen lots of different things, but I want Refantasy to be extremely stylish. The Persona games, they stand out. Someone that doesn't play video games will look at gameplay of Persona 5 and they will be like, whoa, there's lots of heart, that's very stylish, it's awesome. The menus, the character designs, the environments, it's colorful, everything's beautiful, it stands out. And I think that the Persona series was able to reach a broader audience because of how the game looks. It appeals to someone who, again, is not necessarily an hardcore gamer like we probably are. So that's something that I would like to see in Refantasy. I think it would give the game a good chance to be successful, and again, I feel like it would benefit from being a standout amongst a bunch of other medieval type of RPGs for sure, which is kind of an oversaturated genre. So honestly, I think they would benefit from taking inspiration from the style and the art from the Persona series. Now for Shin Megami Tensei, I'm a big fan, so once again, that was extremely hard, but one unique feature that I really love in Shin Megami Tensei that I want Refantasy to take inspiration from, I'm putting a big emphasis on inspiration here because I don't want them to copy what I have in mind, I want them to take inspiration from the system, and that would be the alignment system. The alignment system in Shin Megami Tensei in the Megaton games is something that I look forward to with every single new release. It's something that's like, it's exciting. Every single time the alignment system, they put some little differences. They put some little touches in each of them. They give you, in most of the games, you get a different ending depending on the alignment that you chose. And in some games, it's extremely clear in which alignment you are. For example, in Strange Journey, you know when you're Chaos, you know when you're Law or Neutral. So there's this type of combat, there's this type of alignment, and there's like SMT4 where you have an idea, but it's not as clear as in Strange Journey, for example. And that's something that for me as a fan of the series is extremely exciting. Once again, with every new entry, that's amazing, and this is something that I look forward to every single time. So if Project Refantasy were to develop on a similar type of system that would give you different endings, that would give you access to different characters and stuff, I feel like they could do something really cool with this. I don't want a standard multiple endings. I want something a bit more like the alignment system in my Shin Megami Tensei games. So those were my wishes and speculations for Project Refantasy. We are at a point in January of 2021 where we have no information on the game, so it is kind of hard to speculate, but I still wanted to do it, and the most exciting thing for me here is I want to hear you guys' ideas. What are your ideas for Refantasy? How do you think the game will release? How will it look once it releases? And do you have any inspiration from Megaton that you would like to see in the game? Please let me know down in the comment sections below so we can talk about it. And as always, guys, if you like the video, a thumbs up helps. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing for all content about Atlus, Persona, Refantasy, anything Atlus. You're at the right place. Thank you all so much for watching, and see you next time.